Hey there, welcome to Fun Rich Mom. My name is Mitch Blackford. If you are new and just joining us for the first time, welcome. I am glad to have you here. And for those of you coming back, ready to chill together, I'm so glad that you're here. Today, I get to talk to Jillian Beck-Rogers. She's a certified health and wellness coach, and I love this topic. She's going to break down how to get rid of the comfort food eating patterns in our life. I don't know if you could use it, but that's certainly one that I have gone up and down with. And then she's going to give us 5 tips to boost consistency in your health and wellness journey. And I love it because it's all very simple, very easy to do. And she just puts it together in this great package that makes it so approachable. And half the time, that's just the thing that we need to get over the hump of going after what we really want with our health and wellness. So with that, let's get started. Okay, so welcome, Jillian. I'm so excited to have you here.
Hi, I'm
get to know a little more about you. Well, welcome. Yay. So for those of you just joining us, Jillian is a health coach, a health and fitness coach. And actually she is in LA and lives kind of near where I used to hang out in my old stomping grounds.
Small world.
Right? Yes. Yeah. I'm kind of jealous because where I am in Texas is flat. I can't go hiking. And you wouldn't think in LA that there's hiking because you just think city. But if you've never been to LA, there's some great hiking there. Favorite place to go hiking? Where would it be?
My favorite place, probably like Temescal Canyon or like near the Palisades where it's, you can see the water as you're walking around and you kind of get a whole view of the city from up there. But you get a little bit of everything.
Salivating right now with jealousy. I miss it.
Well, I live in the valley, so I still dream about being like in the Palisades. That's why I like to go over there and hike.
Right. Yeah. I'll drive through 2 hours of traffic. I don't care.
I will. I grew up in Kansas, so I'm always like, it's still an hour to the beach is still very doable to me. I'll do it.
That's true. Yeah. Because Kansas was landlocked and flat.
Exactly.
But you weren't always in Kansas. You were also in New York. Is that right?
Yes. I was in New York for about 8 years. And yeah, I was in a whole nother career, which I'll dive into when I worked there. And now I live in Los Angeles as of like 2.5 years ago.
Okay, cool. So yeah, why don't you give us a little bit of the rundown of the Jillian world and how you got into health and fitness?
Yeah, so I used to work in fashion design, which may or may not surprise people. But before I was a health and wellness coach, I worked in women's fashion for a large retailer. Fashion was what I decided I wanted to do since I was 9 years old, and I would be sketching little designs and making my clothes by hand and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
Started making Barbie clothes when I was probably 6. It was, very young age. And so I just had always wanted to be in fashion. So I went to design school, moved to New York, did all of that. And a few years in working in that industry, I was like, oh my God, is this it?
Oh no. It wasn't what you expected?
No, I mean, yes and no. And I loved all the people that I worked with. So I was very torn, but I just did not love the work. I was not very passionate about it. To me, fashion also just felt very wasteful and it didn't really align with me at that point. So I was just thinking, oh my God, kill me now. I don't know what else am I going to do with my life? I had decided this since I was 9, right? I never considered anything else. So I was kind of stressed for years, just trying to figure out, what am I going to do that, I'm going to enjoy as my career. And I would turn to coffee and croissants in the afternoon more often than not as something to just kind of look forward to kind of get me through the day, maybe get me outside with a coworker to go take a break. But that habit just became a little bit too often. I was probably loading up on more sugar and caffeine than my body, really actually needed. And it just was not solving the actual problem, which was just me being unfulfilled and a little bit unhappy and delaying figuring out what I was going to do instead. And so that's kind of my experience with comfort eating, is something that kind of, soothed me in the moment and it helped me up to a certain point, but it really was not doing me that much good service in the end.
Right.
But fast forward and COVID happened and I got furloughed from my job for a couple of months, but then went back. But during the furlough, I was just like, wow, I really enjoy not doing this job.
It
And
just really cemented it, huh?
yeah. And, obviously things were changing in the world and I was really tuning into more wellness habits than I had ever really done before, even though I was very active in rock climbing for the past now 7 years. But I never grew up being very athletic. I did dance and stuff, but I was never a sports person, as I like to say. I was not considered athletic. But rock climbing was something that really changed my perspective on movement. So anyways, COVID happened, time to just redefine, do what I want to do. I looked at all of the things that I was really passionate about. I was passionate about, being active, helping people like live healthier lives, really trying to inspire other people to have healthier habits. I was always into like healthier cooking and, all of this stuff. I kind of just looked at what it all had in common and what I wanted out of my life and that I wanted to do something to help people that I was more passionate about, put more good out into the world rather than just more shit, as I like to say. And here we are with health coaching, and here we are now. So
Nice. I like the progression, and it's so true. Sometimes you just need that. I think COVID probably gave us a lot of people some different perspective on what's really happening with my life, and just that break where, okay, is this who I want to be? Is this? And I love that it was all not just about the career, but your values and who you wanted to stand for as a person and what you wanted to get out of your life. That is really cool. So then you transitioned into health and wellness. Was it just this easy thing for you to do because, you had been into rock climbing and you were healthy cooking and people were coming to you naturally? Or was it something for you that it was like, okay, flag in the sand, like, what's it called? Stake in the ground, flag in the sand, line drawn, whatever the phrase is. Okay, now I'm going to go out there and I'm going to tell the world. And what was it like to get started for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. It was a little bit more like the second one. I think for some people it was just surprising because we were all in our little COVID dens and we didn't know what was going on with each other. So for me to be like, I quit my job and I'm going to be a health coach, it like probably surprised a lot of people. But I think the people who knew me best as being somebody who like was very into rock climbing, and all the people I worked with would see that I would religiously leave work at a certain time on, 2 days out of the week to go rock climbing with my husband. And I would bring in my lunches, and like assemble my salads like in the kitchen and bring my breakfast with me every day. Like, so I think to some people it probably wasn't super surprising. But there was definitely that whole like putting my stake in the ground and having to just kind of tell people like, this is what I'm doing. I went and I got, certified so I could, learn everything and, properly be able to help people in the right way. But yeah, it was a little bit of both.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And there were 2 things that you said in there that I want to kind of grab onto. And that was that you would go rock climbing every day with your husband, like you had that set time, and that you would bring your little bag of food and you would make your salads. And that's something we were kind of talking about just a minute ago. So if someone wants to have a healthy life and they want to be well and they want to be fit, do they just have to eat salad?
No. Yes, we were talking about that, right? I think so. I talk a lot about comfort eating, right? And trying to break free of our habit of turning to the potato chips, cookies, wine, whatever it is that's your go-to comfort food. But I think sometimes people might have this perception of like, if I work with a health coach and every, coaches are different. So I'm speaking for myself here. There could be somebody else who doesn't agree, but I don't think you need to take away all the cookies, potato chips, wine, insert whatever food, and then only eat like rabbit food and salads and things. That is not what we're here to try to do. It's really about finding balance and finding foods that work for you and make you feel your absolute best, and really questioning what it is you need as nourishment in the moment. Sometimes it may be a salad. Some other times it may not even be the food at all. And just getting curious about that. But no, we don't have to eat salads 24/7, even though I love a good salad.
I do too. I honestly, there's a place called Salada and we live too far away from it, but oh, I love it. Okay. So you mentioned that it could be other things beyond food. So does your coaching go beyond just, hey, we're going to come up with an eating plan for you and an exercise routine? what else are you covering with your clients?
Yeah, that's a good question. Kind of dive through a bunch of different things. Kind of looking at how to eat, like what to eat that is best for your body and brings you the most energy. Then diving into a lot of also how to eat for optimal digestion, to maximize your energy, make you feel the best. And then also just along the way, incorporating movement. So that doesn't look like one thing for everybody. I really try to personalize it to what, like, meet the client where they're at. So I'm not bringing you some strict workout that you have to absolutely do. You don't have to do rock climbing either. Only one of my clients really rock climbs. But that is not like it's whatever you want it to be. That may be just going out on walks consistently is where you're starting out at. It may be more intense HIIT exercises, things like that. So really just helping you discover what is going to help you be the most consistent. Even if you're just doing 10 minutes, what is going to help you just get out there and move your body in an intentional way rather than it looking a certain way. And a lot of just transforming a lot of those thoughts and things that hold us back through coaching. Dive into a lot of also not food. Like a lot of our hunger and our cravings for comfort foods has nothing to do with food at all. So I find that a lot of our coaching sessions end up being around stress and overwhelm and how to take things off of our plate, especially with women. We want to do all of the things. We have so many responsibilities, and we often take things upon ourselves, whether we really need to be doing it or not. So a lot of it is just finding out what can we do less of so that we can actually make time for these other habits that we're trying to do to make us feel better. So a lot of it ends up being nothing about food whatsoever.
Isn't that interesting? That sounds like you do a lot of mindset coaching with people then.
Oh, yeah. It's all mindset. It's a little bit of food and a lot of mindset.
I am curious, though. You said how certain foods or ways of eating that help you digest your food better. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what is something that you could share? Like one thing that, hey, if most people implement this, it would actually help them have a better digestive experience or better experience with food in that sense.
Yeah. And this is something that I really learned a lot more about in my coaching certification program because it's so basic. And yet we don't realize the impact that it has on our bodies, and it's to slow down. So I grew up in a family, they still are kind of speed eaters. I tell this story sometimes that I didn't really realize how fast my family would eat. My mom would kill me if she heard this, but my dad always jokes that she
plug your ears, Mom.
She inhales her ice cream so fast. I feel like I got that trait from my mom. It would just you eat something so quickly, and actually that really impairs your digestion. It does a lot of things. When we eat too fast, our saliva glands don't have a chance to really kick in, which helps break down our food. And if we're eating too fast, we're probably not chewing. Therefore, we're swallowing bigger bites of food, and just think that is a bigger, lump of food in your stomach that your body has to then break down, which can cause a lot of indigestion. And also, the faster that we eat, our hunger hormones don't have time to kick in. So sometimes we eat too much, we overeat, and then we have that feeling of oh my God, why did I just eat all of that right afterwards? Have to unbutton our pants. So slowing down is something that would be aim for a 20-minute dinner when you sit down. Not all of us may have that amount of time, but try adding 5 more minutes. Slowing down, taking a few breaths in between bites, savoring your food, and see if you notice a difference after a few weeks of doing that.
Yeah, that's huge. I know I used to, when I was a teenager, I worked in this little coffee shop in the mall, and we would, I'd go straight there after high school and start working, and you were the only one most of the time. So you couldn't go and get food, or if you did, you had 5 minutes to go. And so I remember I used to be the slowest eater when I was a kid. My family would leave me at the table and they'd be watching TV, dishes were done and everything. I'd be like,
That's good though.
I know. And then I got this job and I started I became this vacuum cleaner. Literally, it was I got to eat while I'm walking, and I'm there and I'm done. And I just know what I could tell the difference in my life.
Mm-hmm.
of what a bad habit that became and how hard, even to this day, I have to concentrate if I want to eat slowly.
Yeah, I do
And
too. I mean, it's when
yeah,
it's ingrained in you and it's a habit, you have to kind of like rewire that habit. So it makes
yeah.
sense.
And you do. When you eat slower, it's like, oh, hey, you know what? I don't need that extra bite. I'm actually done. I'm good. I can push
Mm-hmm.
the plate away. Versus when you're not, you're like, I need more, 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 more.
Yeah.
And then, yes, I need a moo-moo. These pants are a little too tight.
It's so funny because like my husband eats very slow, and that's kind of what made me realize how fast I ate because we would sit down. I mean, we've been together for what, 14 years now. So this was like a while ago where I really started to notice like, you eat so slow. Like, can we
Like,
speed it up a little
pick
bit?
it up.
He'd be like finishing, his like few bites or whatever, and I'm like way past done and putting the dishes away, and it really makes you notice, like, oh, let's slow down a little bit, like take a breather. And he's just always been like that, so you don't know until somebody points it out.
Yep. So true. Yep. And like I said, one I still work on all the time. It's kind of a joke. We have a group of people we get together every weekend. We do oh my gosh, I can't even think of the word, potluck. We do a potluck. And so it's our life group, and usually the guys will have all the girls go first. They're so sweet. And then the guys will go. And so I'll try to wait till the end of the line for the girls because I'm like, if I go first, by the time you guys sit down, I'm going to be done eating and I'm going to be staring at you. So let me go last, and then I will try my best to slow it down.
It's a good
so
thing
I'm
to
not
practice.
just sitting there like
take a deep breath. And I mean, it's nice when you can be like talking to other people a little bit. Yes. So you can like kind of force yourself to slow down, but then also you can kind of, lose yourself in the meal. So it can go both ways, but yeah.
Yeah. So now I know that you had, how to like okay, I got to look here. Like five
tips for movement?
how to break the pattern of comfort eating.
Oh yeah. So breaking the habit of comfort eating, I kind of like break it down into a few things. There's a lot of layers to it, but to kind of synthesize it down, I mean, the first thing of changing anything is awareness, right? If we don't stop and become aware of our surroundings, what we want instead, what the problem is, you can't change anything. So the first thing is like awareness, getting curious about what is maybe triggering you to grab for your comfort foods. If you're noticing that this is a habit and it's not really satisfying you, or the three buckets that I like to put, I'll back up a little bit. Comfort eating, is not like a bad, horrible thing, right? We want to enjoy food. Food is wonderful, and that is all good. And the three buckets that I kind of first think, maybe this is a little bit of a problem that we need to reassess is one, if it's causing other health problems. So if you're getting, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, serious weight gain, or you're just not feeling happy with your body, then it's maybe time to reassess. 2 is if you feel out of control or at the mercy of your cravings, because we want to have agency over our body and what we are nourishing it with. And then 3 is if it's covering up a deeper emotional need that's not actually being addressed, which is kind of like what I was talking about with my story about my coffee and croissants. Wasn't really addressing the problem. So if we notice, okay, like maybe this is a bit of a problem, maybe I should reassess what I'm eating or how I'm approaching this. Then getting curious, what's triggering you to grab these foods? What's in your environment? Is there something that's stressing you out? Is there someone that's stressing you out? What is it? It's a big one for a lot of people.
You got to go.
Like, is there something we're avoiding? Like what is kind of leading to this issue? And if we're not feeling satisfied after we eat, then that might also be a little bit of a hint that it's not just physical hunger. Which then, so if we're turning to all of these different foods to comfort us, it could be 1, physical hunger, it could be 2, emotional hunger, or 3, a combo of both. And then looking at these few things of addressing if it's physical hunger, and then a few things addressing is this emotional hunger, and like ways to kind of solve that.
Got it. I like it. I like it because, well, from the first part, I can see you getting with client like, I don't have a problem with snacking, but I always eat large meals. Okay, well, maybe it's you're a wolf vacuum cleaner at the table. Let's slow it down. Simple strategy right there. And then looking at the differences between, okay, am I going to snack because I am the snacker now? Is it because and I think I saw also as well, and I've worked with this as well, is sometimes it's not even hunger, it's thirst.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're dehydrated.
Yeah, that's one of like the physical hunger things where, first I kind of take them through like, what are we eating? What's the way to kind of upgrade that's a more of a high energy food? But another thing is increasing water intake, which sounds like such a dumb, simple thing that we all know to do. And yet most of us aren't doing it because a lot of times we're just dehydrated chronically and we fix it with food because it's the first thing we think of, or we mistake that dehydration as being hunger. So yeah, like just drinking a few extra glasses of water and being really good about that every day, that might also help your problem as well.
Yeah. I realized too, when I wasn't drinking enough water, just putting a straw, like I have the little Yeti cup, whatever. And if I add a straw to it, I'll drink all my water. If I don't have a straw, I drink half the water in a day. So it's just simple tricks like, okay, what makes the difference for me? And then, so we look at, okay, say I am the emotional eater, and as soon as I feel stress, I find myself walking to the fridge or walking to the pantry and just kind of mindlessly eating. Yeah. So what do you usually tell your emotional eaters? Okay, stop and look at it, or how do we break that pattern of I'm walking without noticing, and before I even know it, there's food in my mouth?
Yeah. I think that's a good point because sometimes it is such an automatic response, right? We create these habits, which our brain just creates habits in order to save us time and energy, right? We don't want to have to think about every little things. We make millions of decisions a day. And so we have these like automatic things. Like I get up from my desk. That's what I had a client say one time. I get up from my desk, I go down the stairs and I automatically beeline for the fridge. And so we kind of had to like break down, well, what is it that you are actually hungering for in that moment? Because she had also said, like, I'm usually not even hungry. I automatically do it without even thinking about it. So when you're getting up from your desk and you need a break, what is it that you're actually hungering for in that moment? If it's not food, actual nourishment, is it like a break? Do you need to have some relaxation? Do you need to take your eyeballs off of the screen? Do you need to take a breath? Like, are you looking for rest and relaxation? Like, what is it? And kind of just breaking that pattern of when I walk downstairs and I beeline for the fridge, how about I beeline for a 10-minute walk outside in the sunshine?
That's good.
Just little things to stop the pattern and see, like, what is an activity that could maybe give me a little bit more of what I'm actually needing that's not the food. So if you just need a desperate break away from the day, or you need to be able to shut the door and not talk to anyone for a minute, or your kids to not bother you, if you're able to go out on a walk for 10 minutes, or, sometimes, I mean, I'm not a mom yet, but I know for moms, like shutting the closet door and just hiding in the dark so that your kids can't bother you. Whatever you need to do.
Any mom that has ever done that.
I will still not be that a one. Mom. I will be like locking the door, just saying, go away. No shit. But yeah, like whatever it is that you need that might actually satisfy what you're needing deep down, because the food is a dopamine hit that's just boosting your mood in the moment. So it's not to like feel bad about what you're doing or feel guilty or shame, because it is helping you in a way. It is calming your nervous system. It's doing a good service for you in that way. But maybe like the bad is starting to outweigh the good. And there's a better way for you to actually feel a little bit more rest and relaxation. And sometimes it's just even noticing like, oh my God, I'm actually way more burned out and needing some rest more than I realized because this chocolate's just not helping.
It feels so good to hear you, though, say it's not necessarily a bad thing that sometimes you just need that comfort food hit. And like we were talking earlier, I'm not necessarily I'm not biased against any food, healthy food, crappy food. If it's food, just bring it my way. I'm probably going to eat it.
I love food too. Like I eat quite a bit, and I eat sweets and treats. Like I have dessert to some extent every day, something sweet. But I think there's just that level of being present with your food and just acknowledging what you're eating rather than like eating it so quickly that you're just like, oh my God, what did I just do? Or why did I even eat that? And just noticing things.
And to clarify, I'm guessing when you say you have a sweet a day, it's probably something small and just enough to satisfy that versus like a banana split and I'm eating the whole thing, right?
Yeah, no. We don't want to be like diving into a whole, pan of brownies on a daily basis. That would probably not be ideal. I mean, that's another thing that I think too is like don't deprive yourself, but there's some other healthier ways you can also do it. So like a lot of times I'll have little dates that I fill with some peanut butter or almond butter, and I'll put like 3 chocolate chips in them, and I'll have like 3 of those.
I love
those.
I will eat those too. Yes.
Yeah, my parents are like in the Coachella Valley area, so I always go in and get like a whole tub of dates, and I bring them back with me, and it's just like my favorite little sweet ever. And I have like dark chocolate chips and things like that, and so I'll try and have like something that I feel a little bit better about and has other nutrients, so there's no guilt there. But also just noticing sometimes when I go to reach for a dessert and I'm like, I'm not actually really hungry right now. Why am I reaching for this? And then thinking, today was a really long day and I'm just feeling a little like, ugh, right now. So do I actually really want to eat that? And I'm the same way with like a glass of wine. I know a lot of clients tell me that's their way to unwind at the end of the day. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but one of my clients in particular was feeling really guilty about it. And it was keeping her from like waking up on time to do her workouts the next day. So it was really derailing her habits. And so looking at, do I actually need this glass of wine, or am I needing it in order to relax rather than just purely enjoying it? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So just getting curious and not judging yourself.
Yeah.
In the process.
And then, so here you are, you're talking about the fact that you're a health and wellness coach and you teach fitness as well. And still you go for treats. And do you have days where you don't want to work out either?
Yeah. I definitely do. Because I'm human, right? And we're all human. And some weeks we're going to be more motivated, especially women. Like we have like a cycle too, right? There's weeks where we are going to be high energy and ready to go at it. And there's going to be other weeks where we would rather just be in our pajamas and lay on the couch. But there's certain things that you can have in place to make it more likely that you can follow through. I have certain things that I do that kind of keep me more on track. I love rock climbing. It's something fun that I enjoyed doing. But some nights, my husband's like, okay, we got to go. And I'm like, okay. And I'm not as excited, but I still show up. So yeah, that happens to everybody.
So that leads me to, you have the 5 steps that you've come up with to create consistency. What are those steps?
Yeah, so I think we're all looking for a little bit more consistency and motivation, especially when it comes to working out. I hear this from clients all the time, and it's an ongoing process. I don't think it's necessarily a thing where it's like, yes, I have achieved this and I do it perfectly every time. It's a constant thing we have to keep reevaluating, myself included. But the first step is making space on the calendar and penciling it in. So I think this is a big one because most of us don't just like have time that just lands in our lap, We're like, oh, I think I'll just go do a workout right now. Most of us don't have that. We've got a million things on our plate. So just the same as you would pencil in important meetings on your calendar for work or whatever it is that you have going on, I pencil in myself my workouts. So I'll do 3 days a week of rock climbing for like a couple of hours, like blocking out the amount of time that you actually think it's going to take. And I will not delete it. So if something comes up last minute and I'm like, oh, we can't go this night, I will move it to somewhere else rather than deleting it from the calendar. So there needs to be that time that you have set aside, knowing that things may, shit might hit the fan and you may have to reevaluate, but it exists there and you've made the time for it. And step 2 is finding an activity that is fun or enticing for you, which may sound obvious, but I think sometimes we think, oh, everyone's into Peloton or whatever the latest craze is. Like, I need to be into that as well. I don't really enjoy riding bikes. It makes my knee hurt. So I'm like,
same.
So I'm just like, find an activity that's fun for you. I think we think of exercise as being like, oh, this thing we have to do. And it's like we show up begrudgingly, like not wanting to do it. So if you can find something that is fun and enjoyable, try that. Try switching it up. Even like I had a client who she was doing the Peloton at home, but it was down in her basement. And we were trying to figure out like why she just wasn't consistently doing her workout, even though she was like excited to do it and likes doing it. And we realized like, well, it's in the basement in the dark and there's cobwebs. And we're like, well, that's
what a
not
beautiful
a fun place to be.
Yeah.
So like, let's light some candles. Let's like clean up the space, make it cozy and inviting, make it a place that you want to hang out and spend time in. If for you, that is like going to a yoga studio with bright light and being surrounded by other people, and that's like your ideal environment, maybe do that. So just making it a place you want to hang out, spend your time. And then step 3 is make it as easy as possible for yourself to follow through. So like removing obstacles that are in your way. If picking out your outfit first thing in the morning for a 6 a.m. workout is just holding you back, maybe just setting out the clothes, setting out your shoes, things like that. Or having like a physical reminder if you need like a Post-it note, or for me, I have like the reminders pop up in my calendar, something that kind of keeps you, to respond to do it. Step 4 is a simple way for you to reward yourself after. So we like to feel rewarded for the hard work that we put in. Mm-hmm. And we don't necessarily have to reward ourselves with food, although if you want to have like a coffee or, have like a yummy smoothie or something after, you can definitely do that. But even just having like a ritual that you do after, if it's a hot shower or a bath to reward yourself. I had a client who still to this day, and I love this idea, she does like a star chart for herself. So her kids have a chore chart. And she put on there like their different chores and things. She started adding like her workouts to it. So she could put a little star on her own little star chart.
Hey, it works.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
I think sometimes you have to kind of tune into like, what did we like as a kid? Like what excites you? And if it, like she felt kind of stupid because she was like, this is so childish that I'm so excited about this. I was like, well, that's fine. We got to tune into those things.
Yep.
So there's that. And then step 5 is really changing your mindset around exercise. And this is a big one we tackle in coaching because most of us have layers to this. But even something as simple as, if the word exercise is triggering to you, which I know it is for a lot of people, how can we just call it movement? Can you make up a word? Can you call it whatever you want that feels less, triggering to you, like it's a negative thing? I don't know if that's something like you can ever relate to, but
yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Like I'm not working out today. I'm doing caboodles.
Whatever word like makes you want to.
Yeah, those are great. They make it, it's just all, when you put it together, it's like, why didn't I think of that? Of course, that's just common sense. And just sometimes it takes someone who has just thought it out and put those steps together for you in a way that it just comes in a package that you can implement now. So that's really cool stuff.
I think it's all of it is just habit change. And there's certain things we have to do in order to create a habit. I know some people say I don't even know the number of days is. I heard it changed recently. What is it? 30 some days it takes to create a habit, or I don't know. I don't really like abide by that rule. I'm more of like little baby steps, like add up to the big thing in the end. So if you just need to do 10 minutes of exercise, you need to go on like a walk for 10 minutes a day. And if you can start to do that consistently, that's great. If you can add on to it, awesome. But like, let's start small and work our way up so we can create more of this habit that you actually enjoy doing, and it becomes something you don't even have to think about.
That's cool. So what's your favorite part of coaching people?
Oh, that's a good question. I love being able to hold space for people to share things that they may not normally feel comfortable sharing with other people. And I think there is such power in being vulnerable and sharing things with people and not being scared to like let those out and ask yourself questions and, try to do something differently. So just being a witness for people and holding that space so that they can, feel better about themselves, feel more confident. Like when I meet with a client and I get text messages in between our coaching sessions too, like check-ins of, oh my God, I did this today, or I did this. And like, the little things. It's like, oh, this is what I really wanted. It's just making change for people that helps them live more fulfilled and feel really good about themselves. Just being able to witness that, I think, is a gift.
So it feels a lot different than being in the fashion industry is what you're saying.
Was it like Devil Wears Prada? And like I said, I always loved my bosses. I loved all my coworkers. So like no beef there. But the work itself, yeah, this is like 10 times more fulfilling than looking at print strike-offs and adding to the landfill.
Right. Things we don't think of when we're buying our clothes.
No, it's a big thing.
So you have a little giveaway. Is that right?
Yes, I have 9 healthy snack and breakfast ideas handout. It's a handout that has like all the little recipes on it and ways to kind of make that good for meal prep if you have a really, really busy schedule as well. I think it's important to have some nourishing, healthy foods that start off your day and to snack on throughout the day so you can avoid, binging or diving into your comfort foods if that's not really what you need. And if we're properly satisfied, then that's one step to addressing your comfort food cravings.
Where can people find you?
So I'm primarily on Instagram. I'd love for you to just come say hi, DM me, let me know where you heard this. And I'm at Jillian Beck-Rogers on Instagram. And then my website for the freebie, I don't know if you need me to give that link, but it's jillianhealthandwellness.com/ideas-p. And that's where you can get the 9 healthy snack and breakfast ideas.
Okay, perfect. And we'll add that in the show notes too, just in case you're driving and listening.
Yeah.
So, darn it, I don't have the pen.
Yeah. I'm always like on a walk or something too, and I listen to podcasts. So I'm just like, I don't have anything to write down.
Hey Siri, can you keep playing and take this note? So yeah, we'll definitely throw that in the show notes. And then, so first of all, thank you so much. Those were some great tips. I know that just like I said, little simple things, those are always my favorite because you can implement it. It doesn't feel like something you have to remember a whole lot about, and just small steps is such a great just mindset to keep. I think sometimes we think of fitness and losing weight and I gotta do it all. I gotta do it big and I gotta do it all at once. And if I don't lose 50 pounds in the next 2 weeks, I've failed.
Yeah, no, we don't want that.
And so we set ourselves up for failure that way because we just set up this impossible task.
Yes.
Versus what you've just laid out for us. It's just little incremental baby steps that build and build and build and build until you've created this new healthy habit and you start getting results. And even if you have to do a little star chart, which I love. I love those. I love checking off lists. I love color. If I've got like my journal, I use a pink pen. But then I have some other colors too, because every now and then you just need some color in your life. So
yeah, whatever makes it more fun in the process. Who's to judge? I mean, do what you gotta do.
Exactly. So thank you so much for sharing all of this and letting everybody get to see you and know you. And I realized I haven't, when I do my solo episodes, I always end with a joke. And I don't know why I haven't ended with a joke lately. So I found a little joke. Okay. They're my totally cheesy dad jokes, but
I love it.
And my girls, it's so cute because my girls, I always tell them the jokes. And so anytime we go somewhere like at a store or a restaurant, they always tell the jokes. I have a joke for you. Okay. So I gotta look, make sure I'm telling the right joke. Okay. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Why do hamburgers go to the gym?
I don't know.
To get better buns.
I was going to say, I'm sure I'm going to laugh at this. I find dad jokes to be hilarious, actually.
I love them. So there you go. You can use that one on your clients.
I feel like that's a very appropriate one for what we've talked about today, too.
I know.
It's very on theme.
I looked it up. I was like, wait, we're talking about health and wellness? Let me find something that works with this. Because sometimes I just do some really random ones. So we wrapped it up with a bow. I was going to say with a bun.
A nice butt joke. I love a good butt joke.
Yes, exactly. I also like a nice butt. So now that that's established.
Don't we all? That's one of the best goals.
Exactly. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and all of the good that you're putting out into the world and how you're showing up for people so that they have space to, which I think was key as well, is that you give them space to be vulnerable and just share that stuff that most people are embarrassed to talk about and admit. And even though we know, probably everyone knows anyway, but I don't want to say it out loud because if I say it out loud, then it makes it real. And just having that person that's safe to go to and then can also take their hand and say, let's do this together. Let's go on this journey together. I'm going to walk you through it. You're not going to be alone. And I think that's huge what you're doing. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And thank you so much for having me here and sharing me with your audience. This is so fun.
Of course. Yay, my pleasure. So we have wrapped it up today. And with that, I just want to remind you that we will have her links in the show notes. So make sure to check her out and get that freebie for her healthy breakfasts and snacks. I know I'm always looking for good ideas, so I'm sure it's packed full of great things. And then also make sure to share this episode with people. I'm sure there's a lot of people that could use these tips. So get on your phone right now. Just go ahead and, hey, check this out. Not saying anything, but you might find something good in it. And subscribe and like, as always, would be appreciated. And with that, make it fun, make it rich, and we will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.